Farming Simulator 15.2. Well, that's what it feels like. It's Farming Simulator 19. Anyway, I decided I'd just show you it in 4K. So, I'm afraid your phones are not going to cut it for this one. When you do a capture on the Xbox One, by the way, you can tell that it's not high dynamic range. Forza Horizon 4, that's got high dynamic range. It captures the images in a different sort of format. You get a PNG and you get another file like an HX something or other, and you can't actually view it on PC or anything other than the Xbox that I've found. There might be a way to do it, but I haven't bothered because I don't really care about the high dynamic range, even though my monitor does it. I've got a Samsung 40-inch 4K blooming HDR blah blah blah, not usual sort of thing. Anyway, today I decided that I'd do a mission, which is something I've not tried before, not since the Farming Simulator 17, where the missions were alright. And it looks quite straightforward in this, but yeah, looks a bit deceptive in that way. So I'm trying to find where the field is that I'm going to. It's 19 right down there in the bottom left hand corner, so there'll be plenty of driving to get to it. And basically I've already screwed up. I've already screwed the mission up because I'm leaving here thinking that I'm going to be finding fertilizer at the field, or that the fertilizing machine will magically magically fill itself when I get to the field, because I didn't read the instructions properly and I was supposed to fill it, but I didn't. Of course, filling it up yourself, that's going to eat into your profits a little bit, I think. I'm not really sure how the missions work. All I know is that I started this off badly. I hired everything, or leased everything, and toodled over. But I mean, I guess the main point is that I'm doing it in 4K, messing up in 4K, so messing up at a higher resolution. This map is very much the same as it was on the Farming Simulator 17, especially with the stupid bird sound effects that's on it. It sounds like there's a budgie in your room, especially on my Turtle Beach PX5s, which are, they used to be surround sound. I'm not actually sure now if they are or not, because my ears have got so bad hearing wise that I'm not really sure if they're surround sound anymore. I can hardly hear stereo these days. But I do know that the bird sound effects are quite annoying because it's constant, and there's a woodpecker in it as well. I've turned the game sound down quite a lot, so you won't be able to hear it, but if you've played the game, I'm sure you'll have heard it, and it'll probably annoy you now I've brought your attention to it. Anyway, so I've turned up, this is the mission field. Obviously, fertilising is quite easy. Got some crows on the field, which I've now flushed. And now it's beginning to dawn on me that there isn't any fertiliser here. So I basically start spinning the camera around so that you can see the sort of 4K a bit better. Get out and have a look at the tractor in 4K. Though the lovely reflections. I think my teeth nearly fell out then. That looks nice. The machines look nice. There's still that little bubble of detail around you when you're driving. Anyway, I decided I'll set off back, but I've cut the film, so I've actually meantime I've gone back and I've filled up the fertiliser. I could have just bought a small one as well, by the way, just the smallest, cheapest one. You didn't have to have this big thing, but I've only leased it, which led to a couple of problems, self-inflicted problems that is, when I'd finished a mission, or thought I'd finished a mission. But it's a pretty easy mission. You can see quite easily where you've where you've fertilised. But it's a different story when you're on a field that's got partial growth, and the more growth there is on the field, the harder it actually is to discern where you've been fertilising. In fact, it can be almost impossible with the that sort of bubble of detail that you have that surrounds the your viewpoint, which I complained about in Farming Simulator 17, but it has been addressed up to a point, but not fully. The graphics are better, but like I said at the beginning, it's more like a Farming Simulator 15.2, because other problems still persist with the gameplay mechanics, especially the trees and the controls of the tractors now, and the vehicles that seem a lot twitchier than they did in the last one. It's like I'm speaking about the Xbox version, so I can't speak of any other version. It hardly uses any of the thumbstick to steer the vehicle, to steer any vehicle, and there's a little bit of a dead zone as well, so that combined with that, it can be quite hard to not run into things. It just makes the handling really twitchy, and I think the handling's been tweaked a bit, especially the ruts and uneven parts of the field and terrain that you go over. But on the whole, the handling's very twitchy, and the whole way that they make you buy parts of land now is, in my eyes, detracted from the game, not added to it. Because the land that you couldn't use before, because you hadn't bought it, consisted of fields only, but you did have access to things like the grass between the fields, which is very, very handy when you first start in the game, you know, for cutting grass. I'll probably show you a bit of that later, but it's fairly irrelevant in this version, because, well, I'll explain that when I get to it. I'm starting to ramble. You're supposed to be looking at me fertilising a field in 4K, and that's the high excitement, you know, it being 4K. Fantastic. Yeah, you can see I've missed a bit of the field as well there on the left of the picture, but it doesn't seem to matter. You can actually go back to your mission, the mission screen, and see your progress on it. I probably won't have a clip of film of that, but you can see your progress on it. But unfortunately, I did some later on a field that had some growth on it, and me being me, decided I'd try to use the AI to do it, and the AI would do it, and I thought to myself, ooh, the AI's doing it. So I went and bought another tractor and another fertiliser, and I went drove all the way there across the map to a bigger field where I knew there was another fertilising job, but when I went to accept the fertilising job, it wouldn't let me take it. So it was a waste of time, because I'd been thinking that you could take multiple jobs, because you can have up to 6 AI workers, so you could take multiple jobs, possibly lease the equipment to do it, so you've got very little expenditure, and have 6 AIs working for you, and hopefully their wages will be counterbalanced a lot by the amount of money you made from the job. But no, they've cut that avenue off. So you've got to do it. You can have the AI doing it, but you can only do it one at a time, which just sort of defeats the object. I suppose if you had your own farm, you could have the AI doing it if it makes a decent profit, that is, because it might actually not make a profit, you know, with you having to pay the AI. Anyway, I finished that field 100% as it happened, even though I didn't know at this stage. I just did it by looking. And I tooled off back to the shop with a view to with a view to seeing how I'm going to get paid, you know, from the person who's hired me. So back at the shop, I'm thinking I've got to put everything in the little sale box there. So I basically put everything in there. As you'll see, I'm messing about here, trying to get the stuff in there. Everything that I've leased, including the weight I put in there, and then I try and sell it, but it won't have any of it. But I'm not realising why it won't do it, because the penny hasn't really dropped yet. I'm just doing what I think I should be doing rather than going back to the mission. This is fairly typical because I didn't read it to start off with, did I? So I've put everything in this little box to sell it, and then I'm completely stumped for a while as to why the game ain't doing what I want it to do rather than what it wants to do, which is kind of a bit of a problem with these games. They tend to get you to play how they want you to play them, which I don't really like. They're not flexible enough, the games these days, unless I'm just expecting too much. I mean, this generation, this Xbox One, in my mind, it's been extremely disappointing. I would have expected much better games. If you go back to the original, because I used to play PC games a lot, and I love the simulations, especially racing simulations and flight simulations. Flight simulations I've been playing since Spectrum and Commodore Amiga. Sorry, Commodore 64, Atari ST, and then the Commodore Amiga. And then I just got sick of all the upgrades on it, especially when the 3D effects cards and sound cards and all that to put in. And then 4 months down the road, your machine's no good anymore, and you're forever having to make boot discs. So then you've got the crossover between Windows and DOS, and you had to have a mouse driver, sound card driver, 3D effects driver. It was turned into a nightmare. You were lucky if you could get a game working. And then when the consoles came out, the first one I got interested in was the first Xbox. My kids had the the first PlayStations and stuff like that, but they didn't interest me because you could never have analog controls on them, which is just something you need for simulations. Simulations you can't do with switches. So eventually I just got fed up of PC and got the Xbox, the first Xbox, and then I got the Xbox 360, which was actually miles and miles and miles better than anything that come before it. I mean, it lasted a long time, but this Xbox One, I think it's just totally disappointing. And the games just seem really badly dumbed down quite a lot, and they're full of bugs as well, which is unforgivable on a console. I mean, they can get away with it now. You download this, that and the other, but some of these games that have been on this one, they've been broken right from start, and people have lost hours and hours and hours of work. I think it was Watch Dogs that corrupted your save game or something like that, but luckily for me I never played that because I thought it was rubbish. I didn't even like the look of it. It just looked like a pretend at a Grand Theft Auto. Anyway, eventually I got paid for this contract, and with the amount of messing about, self-inflicted messing about that is, it just didn't seem worth it. So I decided I'd show you another map as well, seeing as it's 4K, but it's non-dynamic range 4K, so it's the cheaper version. Not that you're going to notice, because the graphics really aren't that good in this game. I mean, so far, graphics-wise, I think The Witcher, is it Witcher 3? I played the hell out of that game, and the graphics were fantastic in it. Especially all the times of days and stuff like that in it. Really nice sunsets and things. And recently I've been playing Red Dead Redemption. What a disappointment that was. Absolutely boring. Probably the worst Rockstar game ever, I think. Apart from maybe Bully. And Bully probably wasn't that bad, it's just I didn't like it, I think. Whereas Red Dead Redemption's just boring. Anyway, back to Farming Simulator. This is my gripe with the way you have to buy land now rather than just fields, because the parts between the fields that you had access to, well, you've got access to them in this, but you can't do anything with them. But in Farming Simulator 15, 13, 17, you could buy yourself, sell all your goods, sell everything that you've got when you initially start, and buy yourself a fairly powerful tractor that can pull one of these forage harvester loading wagons. And what you needed was one of these loading wagons, a decent tractor, and a front mower. Now you got horsepower requirements, so you'd have to be careful with it. So then you would I'd just attach the mower to the front of the tractor, the harvester, the loading wagon to the back of the tractor, and then I'd just drive around between all the fields on whatever map I was on, with the mower going and the forage harvester going. I say forage. Damn it, my teeth are falling out. Forage harvester. It's not a forage harvester, it's a loading wagon, with both of them running anyway. So as you're cutting the grass, it's picking it up, and I'd then check it to the biogas station and dump it in one of the silos there, and compress it all when I got enough in there, and let it ferment. And then I'd either use a front loader on the tractor. Well, that's what I usually started with until I had enough money to buy the big lizard loader that you could do 10 tons at a time, and then I'd just scoop all the silage into the thing that makes power. I can't remember. There's like a hopper there. You need to just keep it filling it up, but you had to have it set on 5 times speed, otherwise it filled up too fast. But on 5 times speed, it'd do it just enough so that it would empty as you were doing it, and you could make a lot of money on it. It was a good start for your game. But they've taken all that off us with this. I think they've actually taken quite a lot off us with this, because if you're into trees, which I'm not, because they've totally not bothered to do anything with the physics of that and made it just awful to do anything with the wood cutting equipment at all. It's just such a trauma. If you haven't bought everything that there is to buy around the trees that you're felling, and your tree happens to fall onto land that you don't own, you can't touch it. You haven't got access to that land. It's quite pathetic. And anyway, I think they've ruined the game. They have improved the graphics, but I think they've really degraded from the game, and they haven't put seasons in it. They haven't upped the economy. There's a lot they haven't done in the 2 years since Farming Simulator 17, and before it, Farming Simulator 15. They've had. This is the the second time now they could have upgraded the physics, and they just haven't. And you've got to ask yourself, what are they actually doing with all the profits? Because this is a big game on PC as well. A lot of people play it. There's loads of Let's Plays and things like that. People are quite keen on it. But, you know, it needs more. We need to be able to do something with the soil and that. But I didn't really make this video to start whining. Even though I have started whining about it. It's just, I don't know, a big missed opportunity. I think they're just cash grabbing, like the people that make Call of Duty and Battlefield do. Just give it same game, slightly reskinned, isn't it? Every year after year after year, with no real thought. They just want your money, and that's all there is to it. Anyway, I've bitched enough, I think. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me rambling on about absolute rubbish while you were watching Farming Simulator in 4K. And if you've made it this far, you're probably more than I'll ever do. I don't think I'll ever watch this video. But if you have made it this far, thanks for watching. 4K as he rides up into the sunset. Okay. Yeah, it's out of sync as well on this editor software that I'm using, so I've no idea if the video's still playing while I'm talking, because it's so choppy. This computer's not up to doing 4K editing. I'll see you later, bye.